Hey everybody, welcome to Before College TV Live. Today I am with UCLA first generation students, three amazing women, dynamic, interesting, charismatic, creative, intelligent. For those of you who are new to these college conversations, I highlight interesting, dynamic people who are living the life that you want to live. And today I'm really excited. UCLA, wow, isn't that exciting? Was UCLA any of your dream schools? Was that yours? No, it wasn't yours, Maritza. It wasn't yours, Alma. Gurleen, this was your dream school.
It was one of my dream schools, yes. This
Yes,
one and Stanford, which was a bit of a, it was a long shot, but
right.
yeah.
But then when you got into Stanford, you said, I'm going to UCLA, Stanford. I don't think so.
I think it's been 10 years since anyone from my high school has actually gone into Stanford. So it's okay. It was a long shot anyway.
Stanford's brutal. I mean, that's tough. There are very few people who get to go to Stanford. Well, Maritza and Alma, I want to learn about your college journey. Gurleen, I want to know how you ended up landing at UCLA. But I think it's really helpful for everybody to get to know who you are. Just a quick snapshot. If we were to go back to high school, Alma, and we were to follow you around for a day, who is Alma?
Who is Alma? Well, I think when we went to high school, Alma was really quiet girl, really shy girl, but she was also very involved. So she didn't really like to be the center of everything, but she liked to be involved in things. So she was in a lot of sports. She was in field hockey, water polo, and swim and dive. But she was also part of many clubs like the AP Scholars Club, the California Scholarship Federation Club, and she liked to be involved in all those things, be board members of all those things. And she took a lot of AP classes because she liked school, that she was really thankful that growing up she really liked school, so she would be involved in so many things. And her parents, like, she knew that her parents came here because they wanted to give her like a better opportunity for college. So I really took those things and just made them like my passion. I really enjoy learning about our history. That was actually one of my favorite classes. And then I know my parents had my support, even though I was really independent because they don't speak English. They never went to college, so they didn't really understand anything that I was doing. But I had their full support, so they would be like, "You need to take the bus to go to like this internship for 2 hours. I trust you. Go ahead and do it." So I was really involved, but also very quiet and introverted. And I think later on, if we talk about it, I would really like to tell you guys how I kind of more expanded from being like a really shy high school girl, like busy bee, into maybe more introverted, and learned how to have fun in college at the same time.
Yeah, I want to learn all about that. And your parents, you have both parents at home, you said?
Yeah, both my parents are at home, and thankfully my dad works, my mom doesn't, but again, I had their full support with everything I did. And it was a little difficult sometimes just because they couldn't help me in like my homework or help me with anything that I needed help with regarding academics. But I know that anything, they always pushed me and they always believed in me. I'm really thankful for that because I know not everyone has that opportunity.
Yeah. Any siblings in the mix?
Yes, one younger sibling. Right now he's starting high school, and it's kind of different. We're totally different dynamics. I'm really the studious person. Like, I like books. He likes art. He likes skateboarding. He doesn't really like school, but I learned to appreciate the type of person he is and know that he's really creative and artistic and likes graphic design. And it really shows like people take different life paths, and that's okay as long as they're passionate for what they want to do.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that he has you. I mean, you paved a path to go to UCLA, and we're going to hear about how you decided to pick this path in this school. Maritza, I know it's Maritza. My R is horrible. I mean, I sound so Caucasian when I try to say my R's. And I've tried so hard over the years, and I struggle. So forgive me, because your name is beautiful. And I'm just impaired with please say your name the way it should be said.
Maritza.
Ah, right. It's just so nice, right? So Maritza, I'll do the best I can. I'm not going to spend more time on it, but I just wanted you to know and just how much I appreciate your name. So tell me a little bit about high school Maritza and how you arrived here. You know, what's your background? All the same info I asked Alma.
Oh, okay, let's remember. So high school me, I was shy. Well, in like the general classroom area, I was shy, kept to myself. But once you got me talking, I was like loud. I was like, I could not stop talking. So my coach sometimes was like, you know what, you gotta slow down a little. So that was me, but I was a cheerleader for 1 year, and then
A shy cheerleader.
yeah, tried cheerleader.
So were you like kind of like, or would you really just
Yeah, I was really out there. I was like, okay.
really do halfways? Okay.
So that was for a year, and then I took a year to focus on academics. I joined a bit more clubs, which was we had like a garden, like a club garden at school that would grow vegetables for the school. So I was part of that, and I was part of Key Club. That's it. That's what I did sophomore year, and then I went to tennis for the last 2 years of high school. And for my home life, so I am the eldest daughter.
Okay.
My younger sibling, she's 16, I think.
You think your sibling's 16?
I think so. She's a bit annoying, I think.
Right. So you don't talk that much.
No, we get along. I just lose track of her age. She's like, okay.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. Age is just not important.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a number.
Just a number. Just a number. Right. Okay. Well, that's great. So you got a sibling and you're at home. This is wonderful. I want to hear how you ended up at UCLA. You said UCLA wasn't your dream school, so I'm excited to hear what your dream school was and to hear how you've created a life you love at UCLA, because it is a life you love, correct?
I do. But disclaimer, I didn't have a dream school.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So we'll dig into that, Gurleen. I am so grateful for you. Thank you for being so patient. Appreciate it. Yeah. So tell me, who was high school Gurleen? Describe yourself so that people can understand who you are and where you're from.
Well, unlike my friends here, I was not shy at all in high school. I have never been known to be shy. I've had a reputation with teachers where I'm consistently told to be quiet, to the point where sometimes I would have to be moved because I just talk too much. So that was me. I was always very loud and I got along with everyone pretty well. I had been playing soccer since from a very young age because my dad also played soccer, and that was sort of, he passed it on to me and my brother and was like, no, you're going to do this. So we did, and actually enjoyed it a lot. So I played soccer on the JV team until my sophomore year. And then I focused more on academics. So I joined some clubs, NHS, which is, I think stands for National Honor Society. And it was basically a peer tutoring program. So I did that, and I tutored in math and science. And I was also part of within the Indian club, there was a Bhangra team, which is a folk dance. And so I had been on a team before high school too. So I helped start the team at my high school. And so I was like the dance captain for that. So that was my sort of balancing between academics and sports and dance.
Yeah.
And for home life, my parents both came here from India, like in the 90s. My dad came and then my mom came and then they had me. And then 4 years later, I had my brother. He's about to be 16 on Monday, actually, and he's a junior in high school. So my home life was a lot of lots of studying, and then also helping my brother out because my parents didn't really know much about education here and everything. My mom was a math teacher, so she could help out with that, but there was obviously the language barrier, so it kind of fell upon me to help my brother out along the way.
So dealing with language, translating, and being the voice of your family. I know that happens with a lot of different people. Gurleen, I love how you were kind of like showing off that you know your sibling's birthday. Not only is like, you're like in like 5 days, you know.
Only because it's coming up. It's August 31st. That's the only reason.
5 days. I had to note that. It felt like that. But yes, it's coming up quickly. So I want to know, you're in high school, you are from families where your parents didn't go to college here, right? Correct? So when do you start thinking about college, and how do you even believe that you could go to such an exceptional place? Is it always just drilled into your head? Did the teacher tell you? Did your family tell you? And then take me on your college journey. So let's go back to you, Alma. Why don't we go back to you? So tell me a little bit about, when did this whole college thing get into your head? and how did that manifest?
I think the first time I ever heard about college is going all the way to third grade, actually. So I was thankful enough that I loved my first to third grade like experience, even though I didn't know how to speak English well, and like my teachers didn't speak any Spanish. So I was kind of like put there and just like learn it because I didn't go to a bilingual school, but I loved it so much. And I don't remember, I'll be honest, I don't remember where I read this, but someone told me about like Harvard. And then I don't know, I just decided one day to randomly go up to my third grade teacher and I told her like, you know, I'm going to go to Harvard one day. And she was like, she was really taken aback because I mean, like I'm a third grade student, like who am I going to know about this college? And so she just, I remember her when we finally got like our yearbooks for the year, she wrote like, please send me an invitation to your college graduation. And so that note, I still have it. And it's like, it's been really special to me because I didn't think about a college again until like high school. But I think that was the first instant where I kind of thought about like, maybe I can. Like, I mean, my teacher didn't say anything like negatives, but she actually encouraged me. So that's like having like from a young age, someone tell you like, of course, and I believe in you, and send me an invitation when you graduate. That was pretty amazing. And I think that's the first time I started thinking about like college, like not seriously, but the first time that somebody planted a little seed in my head and I could go back to it for reference.
Right. So something as simple as a teacher saying, yes, I believe you can go to Harvard, and then writing that, putting that in your yearbook and writing stuck with you all these years. That's beautiful.
Amazing.
I just love it. Because I don't think that grade school teachers just recognize the power of when a student says saying, oh, it's so hard to get into, or how are you going to do that? Or, you know, first you have to learn English. It was, yes. I mean, and then, and it sticks with you and it's stuck with you. Is that teacher still someone who's in your life?
I unfortunately moved from like that area, so I couldn't keep up with her, but I'm really hoping that, you know, social media is now a thing. It wasn't a thing back then. So maybe I reach out to her when I graduate from UCLA.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm sure she would love, that would just be, I'm sure, pure joy to hear from you and to know that that had such an impact on you. All right, well, I want to learn about the application process, but Maritza, I want to know, when did you realize college was going to be something that you were capable of doing, that you were going to be able to do?
For me, it was my family, my parents. So I was born in Mexico, and when I was born, my parents were actually attending university in Mexico, but they had to drop out because, of course, you know, you can't feed a baby and go to school at the same time. Well, for them at least. So from a very young age, I was kind of always taught, oh, okay, keep pushing forward in your education. Eventually, I'm gonna go to college. Don't worry about anything. Just keep pushing forward and like you make sure you go to college.
Yeah, so that was always something that was on your radar and you were always pushed to do. Gurleen, what about you? How did college become this reality?
Yeah, so I think like until I was about 12 years old, it wasn't just my immediate family that was living with me. It was also my dad's sister and all of her kids. And so our age gap is like 15-ish years from the oldest and like 10-ish years to the youngest. And so when they came here, they were at the age where they would be applying to college. So they were like, one of my cousins went to Cal State East Bay, and another one was at community college, and another went to pharmacy school. So it didn't really have a defining moment, but I always knew that most likely that was the path I would take after high school because I had seen them go to college. And then with my family too, like that was the sort of push, like, yeah, you know, after high school, you'll go to college.
So for all of you, when it comes to the application process and being a junior, doing the testing, and a senior, and doing the financial aid application, your FAFSA, and college tours, and all of that, what was the most challenging part for you? And how were you able to get through that? Alma, I like I think you rolled not just your eyes, your entire head. Was it hard?
Yes, it definitely was hard. I think all the process was hard, but for me, I think what I found more difficult was the financial aid, the FAFSA, and then I applied to a few private schools, so I had to do the CSS profile. And being like my family being Mexican immigrants, they might have not had like the some of the documentation that think they required, and they didn't really understand. I had to be translating these kind of like financial words to them, and I'd be like, you know, that thing that you have, you're supposed to get with your taxes, and they'd be so confused. So it was just really difficult because I felt like I was just, I don't know, sometimes I didn't know if I was right. And I had so much like back and forth emails with the colleges. They're like, this isn't the right document, send another one. And I would be like, oh my God. And then there's a few schools that'd be like, we don't take it through email, send it through fax. And I don't have a fax machine. So I was just like, well, what do I do now? But I don't know. I think it was just really difficult, all process in general, but for me, like the financial aid and also knowing that there's different applications for different types of schools, that also was really confusing. I didn't know that till like it was a little bit before it was time to apply.
So how were you able to fill all of this out? Why didn't you quit? Was there someone who helped you? Was there a resource for someone who's going to be facing these same obstacles?
Yeah, well, I'm so thankful that in my school there was this program called Promise Neighborhood, which had academic advocates, which were mentors that were guiding us to go to college. And I kind of just walked into like that place. It had a tiny little office like at the very edge of the school. Nobody goes to that little edge of the school, and they had it there. And I just decided to walk up there, and then I got into the program. They're like, yeah, you can sign up. We'll be your mentors. And that was the first time in high school where like they would take me to college, campus cross, and like going to actual college and see. And so they were the ones that guided me like what I need to put in the FAFSA, how I need to submit it and whatnot. So if it wasn't for that program, I don't know what I would have done. And it just deeply saddens me that the year I graduated was actually the year that they lost their funding. So that program does not exist in my high school anymore. And I'm sure it has made it really difficult for students to be able to apply to college, because I wouldn't have succeeded without them at all. And I'm really thankful for them.
Tell me again the name of the program.
So it's under the big umbrella of South Bay Community Services, which is services that help like the South Bay San Diego area. And the program is specifically called Chula Vista Promise Neighborhood. So so Promise Neighborhood, and it's called the people that helped were academic advocates.
Gotcha.
And I think, they lost a lot of funding. I think they're trying to bring it up, but again, money is so many issues, and it's such a sad thing that money really defines a lot of the things for resources for high school students.
Yeah, there are so many community resources, and I'm going to try and include some of those with this conversation, because if there isn't something available, like I work a lot with a program called Gear Up, and Gear Up is really this incredible program that's in states all over the country, and it's very similar to that, but sometimes there's a community program, or there could be a business, or even the idea of finding a person who you want to be and connecting with those people. For the student who's at the school that doesn't have what you had, but the idea that you can still get there, you just have to find the kindest, nicest people who are part of these programs, because they might not be at the end of the hall at your school, but they're probably down a couple streets that you can ride your bike to, or somewhere you can log into, because if you want it, you can get it, because you got it, which is great. Maritza, tell me a little bit about your college application process and how that all went down.
Well, I forgot all about college until junior year.
Yeah.
And then my friend was like, oh, you're signing up for the SAT? It's coming up. I'm like, the who? And so then I was like, oh, what is that? So I kind of had to like crash course the SAT and ACT, like all about it, what it was in a day through my friend. And then my school had also, similar to Alma, also had this like program that helped students go to college, first-time students. It was UC EAP, or it's like, I'm missing the one letter, but it was a couple years ago. And also I was involved in talent trio search.
Okay.
So those were like my 8 through college. They really helped me out. They're like, okay, this is what you do with the SAT, the ACT, and like this is how you're gonna write this is what they're looking for your personal, what was it called? Personal questions.
Personal statement, probably. Yeah. So you were involved with TRIO, the talent search program, and I'm real familiar with those as well. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's another one for anybody who's watching. Look up TRIO programs, look up the talent search program. How did you get involved with that?
I got it during my third period. I got this little letter that said, "You're invited to like our little meeting during lunchtime to learn more about Trio." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I have nothing to do during lunchtime. Let's go." They were giving out free pizza, I think.
That's great. So you went there, and then you found that group that helped you, and then you must have done well in your testing. You know, the SAT is tough, and you just learned about it junior year, and you're like, okay, I'll do this. How did you do so well? Because I mean, you go to UCLA, you had to do well, right?
I didn't do well.
No,
I
you did
didn't.
well. That's good to know. What a relief. Okay, good. So this is great. So you could not start doing anything with college till junior year, and you can also do very poorly on the SAT, and somehow you could get to UCLA. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. This is a great story. Everybody has hope. They're like, yes. So tell me, okay, I want to just hear. So how did you then get to UCLA with your mediocre test scores and late to the start search?
So I learned that test scores are not everything, first of all. And also, apparently a lot of my like life experiences are not considered normal, even though I think they're normal. Because like being an immigrant, like crossing the border without your parents, coming into with an undocumented status for a while, and like just having those circumstances, how you like thrive through it, it's also what they want to see on the college questionnaires. I keep calling them questionnaires, questions. So it's just like that resilience. If you show like your drive, your motivation, and resilience, it's also like a little step up.
So
And also
you crossed the border by yourself without your family?
with my sister.
So you and your sister crossed the border. Was it just the two of you? Were you with a guardian or an
Uh,
adult?
so the way we crossed the border, we were snuck in through a car, but I got to Tijuana with my mother, and then I went to sleep. And then I woke up and I was in someone's car. And they're like, "Oh, okay, just pretend you're this person." And you're like, "This is your grandmother, and like this is your name now. And we'll cross you. And then you'll meet up with your sister." My sister wasn't even with me. I don't even know where she went.
You were with strangers in a car. You woke up, and were you scared?
No. I was like, "Oh, okay."
How old were you?
I was 5.
5. Okay, so that explains it. So
Yeah.
did your parents tell you that you're going to be going on a trip beforehand?
No.
So you went to sleep. Was this like you went to sleep in your bed and then you woke up in a car?
No, I was asleep in my mom's arms. I
So you're
feel like,
sleeping in your mom's arms, and they were always planning this, but they didn't tell you.
yeah.
And then you ended up in this car with these people who told you to change your name or to go along with this. And then how far along from the time you crossed the border until you met up with your sister? How long did it take?
I think it was about in a few hours.
Okay, so it wasn't like days. It was like, so then you saw your sister, your older sister,
He's younger.
younger sister, and then who was she with? Was it family you were with, or
No.
where were you?
I was with what the things they call coyotes, like the people that's like bring the people through the border.
They're called coyotes, so that's a common term. I'm not familiar with that. A coyote is someone who, explain that to everyone who doesn't understand that or know
So
that.
basically, they make you pay them up front to like help smuggle you through the border, which is either crossing like what is called the cerro, the mountain, through the desert, or like being smuggled in and through like a car or like a truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were 5 and your sister was a couple years. How old's your sister?
She was 3. She's no 2. She's 3 years
Right,
younger.
we're dealing with the age thing again. Okay. Right. So right. So she's 4 years younger. And then how long until you met up with your family?
I would say a couple of days.
So 2 days later, your parents came, and during that 2 days, who were you with? Where did you sleep? Was it the coyotes?
Yes, I was transferred to another car this time with my sibling, and they were gonna drive us up to like the destination where we were supposed to meet with my father.
Okay, so this was all planned, and then why were your parents in such a hurry to leave? Was there something bad happening at home?
No, it was more about like money.
Okay,
Like yeah.
right. And then then you were in this area. What part of the country were you in growing up?
In Mexico?
Well, in the States. So you went from just over the border in Tijuana, and then where did you grow up?
I grew up in Oxnard.
Okay, you're from Oxnard. And then from that point, how long did it take for you to then become documented?
It took about, how old am I, 20? 12 years?
Okay, so that was something. And is your family documented as well?
Yes.
They are. And yeah, before I asked that, I was like, oh gosh, should I even ask that?
That's so good. It's so good.
Right. So you really relate to DACA and what's happening with so many students who aren't documented.
Yes.
Yeah, because you were one of them. What a wild adventure. You know what? I'm gonna let you into UCLA now. I'm gonna let you in anywhere after that. Right. I mean, did you all know Alma and Gurleen? Did you know the whole story? You didn't know
No,
that
we
story?
didn't.
No,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I think it's interesting. You find that interesting? I find it fascinating. I mean, it's really a remarkable journey, and the fact that your family and your parents were able to then establish a life and support you, and like you were saying, that college piece. Did you say that they were always college minded? You were going to go to college, is that right, Maritza?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the idea that college was always something, and they came here for that reason, and you are now living this life. Let me ask you, and Gurleen, I want to get to you in just one moment. When you are a product of a family who sacrificed so much, how much of your journey do you feel is about repaying what your family's done, their sacrifices? Is a lot of that tied to what they've done to get you here?
Yes. For a lot of the time, like the majority of my years, I was like, okay, I have to like give back to them because they sacrificed so much. But lately, like also as you grow older, you also start to be a bit more selfish and be like, oh, what do I want to do with that sacrifice? Like, how am I gonna? It's not only about repaying them anymore. It's also about like, okay, how do I, um, not only give back but also like bring it to another level.
Yeah, that's so interesting because so many first gen students who I've gotten to know, so much of their decision making is based on making sure that their family is happy and taken care of, repaying this debt. But then you get to a point where you have to live your life and it has to be about you, which is a real big conflict that a lot of students struggle with. But it's really interesting to hear you say that because the more focused you could be on aligning with what you want, the greater the opportunity to reward those who have sacrificed so much. Like your happiness is really important when it comes to the bigger picture. I think that's something a lot of people lose sight of. Gurleen, so tell me a little bit about your journey. I know you wanted to go to Stanford. A lot of people want to go to Stanford. Was that was your dream for a while?
Yeah, I was for sure.
And you did everything you possibly could, right?
Yeah, and it still didn't work out, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh, like 4%, 5% of students get in. I mean, that's the thing. I'm obsessed with rejection because, the thing is you can all be so amazing. Like you're all so incredible, but not everyone and everything is going to respond to you the way you want. You can still be, smart, dynamic, charismatic, gifted in every way, but not everybody's going to get to go there. You can go for graduate school, or you can teach there, or you can get an honorary degree. Or it's like, this is just the beginning. But Gurleen, how did you fill out the applications, go through that process? Was that easy for you or hard for you? Fill us in.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say first, like, I relate to what Maritza was saying so much about your parents sacrificing so much for you, and you feel like you have to learn to have that balance of you feel like you owe them, you feel like you want to do everything you can to show your gratitude, but you also need to live your own life because My parents were also fleeing a genocide that was happening in India at the time. It was the 1984 Sikh genocide, which basically we're a religious minority in India, and there was a lot of conflict because of that. So that was the reason why my parents came here, was to give us a better life. So we weren't living in this essentially like a war zone. And having known that, because we've always been very in touch with our culture, I think knowing that I had to go through so many struggles to apply to college, and especially like I was similar to Maritza, didn't really start thinking about it until like the summer before my junior year, when a lot of my friends their parents were putting them into like SAT programs to help them get ready for the SAT, and obviously I couldn't afford to do that, but I knew I had to study for the SAT and do well on it to get into a good college. So having that motivation behind me definitely helped me. There wasn't a specific program at my school, but the academic counselors were sort of helped us maintain a timeline of sorts. So they started us, I think like junior year, started having us compile a list of colleges we'd be interested in applying to. And I didn't really know anything about like how there's a UC application and there's like a different one for private schools and all these different things. So it was definitely my counselor, specifically Miss Strickland, who I will shout out right now. She doesn't work there anymore, but she's off doing better things. And my English 11 teacher, Mr. Prisk, was also really helpful in terms of essays, which is something I've learned about UCLA. Is I feel they care a lot about enrolling people who are well-rounded. So it's not just about, like, my SAT score was like average. I don't really remember. I think it was 1400 or something. I took it twice. And like my GPA was fine, like it was within the range or whatever, but I think my essays were what really made me stand out. And because I had help from so many people who helped me revise my essays, that's probably the reason why I got in.
Yeah, well, that's great that you had that help, and those teachers who take the time. I mean, it makes all of the difference. That's amazing, and the journey your family had to be able to come here is remarkable. I think a lot of parents don't get the credit or are self-critical because for whatever reason, they're not living the life that other people recognize as being, one of abundance. But your parents are just the ultimate heroes and how they were able to do this, and that you, as one generation, the next generation, get to do this is just, it's really remarkable. And I was saying before we even started just how I have so much respect for you and your journeys because they're extraordinary. And I think that that's also, it's also hard when you're going through this to recognize that. And it's also hard to manage rejection and disappointment. I want to know when it comes to, almost like, tell me, preach, right. So this is the fun part where I would like to know, well, it's all the fun part, but I'd like to know just when it comes to the application process for college, where did you get accepted? Where did you get rejected? Because you're in a great place, but it's always cool to see, like, were there other places that accepted you? Did you pick UCLA because of the money or because of the education or because of family friends, or how did you end up here? Because you've all, when COVID isn't happening, I imagine you all live on campus, right? Like you're all there. And that's a big deal to leave your homes to be able to go away to school, right? Like your families, I would imagine that's not something everybody does. Right. So that's so we could talk about that. But Maritza, tell me, how did you pick UCLA and what were some of those other schools and what were the factors?
Okay. When I tell people this, they're going to be like, oh God, why? They're going to laugh at me. I know Gurleen's going to want to smack her head.
Oh my God.
How I picked UCLA. So I got into UC Berkeley. Where else did I apply? All the CSUs I applied to, which I think was Northridge, Long Beach. There's two more which I'm forgetting. But that's our main ones. And one more UC I got into. Oh God, I forgot. Oh, UC Davis.
Another good one. Okay.
And I got rejected from Columbia and Cornell and USC.
Okay. And were you upset about any of those?
No.
It seems like that's kind of your attitude. You're just like so chill. It's like whatever happens, it's gonna happen, but then great things keep happening. Is that how it works with you?
I think so.
Right, like you somehow remain calm.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that. It's crazy. How do you do that?
I don't know. If it happens, it happens. If it didn't happen this time, I'm going for a master's. That's happened that time.
Right, that's what it is. It's like there are no limits. It's just a matter of how much time it takes to get there. Like you go after what you want, and nothing stops you.
Yes.
Wow. And you've had a journey. Like your journey says if you got here and you keep getting places, you can get anywhere. Like it's remarkable. Alma, tell me about your acceptances, your rejections. Oh wait, you know what, Maritza, how do you pick UCLA? You had all these places, all these amazing places. How do you pick UCLA?
I was between UC Berkeley and UCLA, and what broke it down eventually was the food. I was like, UCLA has tacos.
Is that the real answer?
It's Mexican food. So, but if I go to NorCal, there's no real tacos and no real Mexican food. So
There isn't.
So that was the number one factor.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Yeah.
Altered your life. It wasn't like they offered you more money, or it was the tacos.
They both offer the same amount of money. It just came down to tacos.
Did they give you a lot of money? I mean,
Yeah.
have you had to pay? So pretty much, did they give you full financial aid?
Oh, basically.
Yeah, room and board included, or did you have to pay for that?
I have to pay a little out of pocket.
Right, but mostly, and you got that because of your family income, your expected family contribution. So you're in a place. So this is really important for people to understand: is if you come from a background, would you categorize yourself as from a low income background, right? And the idea of being categorized as something, some people are like, oh, I don't want to be categorized as that. Or listen, like people want to help you. The more you can let people know, the more money you can get because you're incredible and you're just in this circumstance and you should take advantage of it. Would you agree with that, everybody? Yeah. So it's like people want to give you money and help you. I've had so many situations and you're getting the help, and that's amazing. So that's awesome. Alma, so tell me with you, or you know what? Let's go to Gurleen, because I always go to, Gurleen's always at the end. It's just not fair. So Gurleen.
I know, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not, nothing's fair. Just in alignment with life. You know, that's how
College admissions.
That's
right.
a great philosophy.
So Gurleen, where did you get accepted? Where did you get rejected? Give me the lowdown.
Okay. Private schools, I had the opportunity to visit Boston, so I got to see Harvard and Boston University, and like I don't think I was ready to go out of state, but I said I'll just apply anyway. So I applied to Harvard, Boston University, and USC. I think those were my private schools, and Stanford, of course.
Okay, right.
And then I applied to UC Berkeley. I got waitlisted. UC Davis, UCLA, obviously, and what other? I think that was it. I applied to very few UCs, and then I applied to CSU SF and CSU Fullerton, I think, because I wanted to either stay in the Bay Area or go down to SoCal. So that was sort of my location was kind of big for me because I kind of wanted to get away from home. And then I got rejected from Stanford, waitlisted at UC Berkeley. And then when I got into UCLA, I was like, well, this just makes sense because I kind of didn't. Oh, and UC San Diego I also applied to, and I got into UC San Diego as well. Okay. But I applied to UCLA and UC Berkeley, but I wasn't really expecting to get in. So seeing that, I remember it was like a Friday night, and I came home after seeing a movie, and UC San Diego. I think it was Black Panther. It was like my 5th time seeing Black Panther because one of my friends wanted to see it. I love that movie. I'm a huge Marvel fan. But yeah, so I came home and UC San Diego and UCLA came out on the same day. So I thought I'll check UCLA first because I probably didn't get in there. And I checked it and got in, and I was like, okay, didn't really process it. And then I checked UC San Diego and I was like, okay, cool, got in there too. And then I went back and I was like, wait, did I just get into UCLA? So then I signed back in to confirm. I like woke my parents up and I was like, guys, like I got into UCLA. But in terms of choosing UCLA, my parents were a little apprehensive because, again, I'm in the Bay Area and they didn't really want me to be moving that far away from home, but I really wanted to go live in LA. So actually my parents didn't know much about like prestige and stuff at universities. They'd heard of UC Berkeley because like a lot of people from here go to UC Berkeley. Right. But so my dad actually talked to a lot of his friends who had older kids who were in college, and one of my dad's friends said, she got into UCLA, you have to send her there. And so that was kind of the pushing point. And yeah, I got a lot of financial aid and scholarships as well too.
So mostly so they covered pretty much everything?
I think it was the same as Maritza, where I had to pay some for housing, but my tuition was covered and the insurance and all of that was included.
Nice. And you got some scholarships?
It was I was through filling out the FAFSA. There was one scholarship from that. And I don't know why it was like, I don't really know the difference between grants and scholarships and financial aid, but it was like a bunch of those. And then there was this one scholarship I received through my high school that was.
Did you apply for that?
I think it was just based on grades.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't necessarily apply.
And for anyone who wants to know, grants, free money, that you get scholarships, also free money. The financial aid, sometimes that could include loans, and it could also include work study. And the work study you actually have to work to get paid, but they include that as part of it, which is kind of interesting. And then when it comes to the loans, there's federal loans that they'll sometimes include, and then if you need more money, there's private loans. But I think that's a good summary, right? Is that a good summary? Okay, good.
It's good.
Okay, cool. Alma, so I want to know, how did you get to UCLA? Where did you get in? Where did you not get in? I want to know the story.
Okay, so the reason I made like so many gestures with my faces when you're asking this question is because for me, it's such a loaded question. Like that mentality that Maritza had, that like it happens, I had to work so hard to learn that. And I'm still like working towards that because just the person that I am, I'm just a very like, I have like a lot of like regrets from some of the things I've done and like maybe the decisions, and I think of the what ifs a lot. And so I'm definitely working towards healing and being more like the Maritza mentality and just being like, if it happens, it happens. And like, I feel like it's more positive and just it works out more well in life. But so I think one important thing now is that I was actually a QuestBridge scholar, which means that it's like a national program that allows you to match with universities. And if you match, you get like fully funded. And if you don't match, you can still get accepted and they give you like a lot of money. And so you don't pay for any of the applications through QuestBridge. So that really opened up my doors to like apply to a lot. And also for anyone who doesn't know, if you're low income, the UCs, you get 4 free UCs that you apply to, 4 free CSUs. So I use those obviously. And so yeah, I applied to UCLA, UC Berkeley, Irvine, and San Diego. And so like, thankfully I was like really happy. Like I got onto all of those. I got applying to all the CSUs. I think San Jose, I don't remember, San Diego State. I don't remember the other two, but they were CSUs. And then through QuestBridge, I applied to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, USC, Amherst, Columbia, Duke, University of Chicago. And it was a lot of essays, but the thing about this, like the little kind of hook or like the little caveat, or like not caveat, but like basically for the QuestBridge, you have to apply before everything if you want to apply for the match in November 1st. And so that kind of threw me off so much because I was thinking, okay, for privates, I have like the entire fall quarter and I can just do it. But now I only had a month. So, and I thought in my mind, like, well, if I don't get through QuestBridge, I'll just do the regular app. I don't know who told me that, but I already told myself that, but your regular app is going to be your QuestBridge app. So I didn't know that. So I was like, I was kind of low stake for me in my mind, but so I didn't really I felt like my essays for the QuestBridge ones weren't super strong. They were like mediocre. And so I was like, really super sad because when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to have like apply a regular decision. So when it came to admissions, I got rejected from like Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I got waitlisted in Stanford, Columbia, and University of Chicago. And then I got into Duke, USC, and Amherst. Oh, and Johns Hopkins. And Johns Hopkins wasn't part, that was just like, that wasn't part of Questbridge. But basically, like, I really wish somebody like would have told me like, hey, I understand you have these opportunity to apply to so many colleges, but think about the ones that you really want to attend to. Don't apply to all the ones you think you want to apply to just because you hear them and you hear the name. Because I ended up like spreading out my time instead of giving like a million applications that were mediocre instead of focusing on like really like good ones to the ones that I really wanted to go to. So at that time, like similar to Gurleen, I really wanted to get into like Stanford. And so like the rejection came like a really big hit for me just because I had like me and a really close friend of mine who we had the same programs. We did like similar stats and everything. We had like we were like together forever, like everything, because we knew we were supporting each other. He got in and I didn't, and it was the exact same Questbridge application. So it just felt like he got in and I didn't, and it just felt like did they like not like me, like, you know, it just felt really personal, which obviously it's college admissions, it's not. So it hurt a lot, and I was just like, that hurt ended up so much that I decided, you know what, I'm not even going to go to any privates, which was like I rejected Duke, I rejected USC, I rejected Amherst, and I just decided on UCLA because I thought it was like, I was like, it's the middle. It wasn't like, I don't know. It was honestly ISR at my last day and ISR crying. I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna like apply SRI because like this is, it wasn't really anything. I just decided to do that one. And so it took me like so many years at UCLA, like 2 years at UCLA, and I was still fighting with myself. Like, why did I reject some of the schools that I actually like maybe I really would want to go to, like Duke? I got to go to visit it through a program, and they've like paid for everything, and I liked it. And I also like USC, so I often think like, why did I not go to like this university when they gave me the opportunity? But I'm slowly learning that, like you said, like, you know, getting your foot in the door is kind of like the main thing. And UCLA is a great school, and even if it wasn't like my dream school, it wasn't what I wanted to, especially since I like the way that I think about it is like I had so many opportunity to showcase everything that I was capable of, and I let it down. Like the moment where it mattered, I didn't do my best. I worked so hard and then it didn't think. So that was pretty much my feelings, but I'm still working on it and like still trying my best, and I'm learning to love UCLA.
Well, Alma, I have been listening and I've been holding back interrupting because all I want to tell you is just how amazing you are and how proud you should feel of yourself and how much you should love yourself and your journey and everything that led you to that place, because you got into amazing places, incredible places. So many people wanted you. So if you wanted to look at it through a different lens of, oh my gosh, look at all of these places and I'm part of Questbridge and I have an opportunity to have a full ride at all of these places. The idea that you could spend 1 second feeling any less or not good enough or anything negative is painful for me, because you're so amazing and you're so worthy and deserving. And your experience now and what you're doing, when you can just give yourself permission to just be you and then focus on the things that really align with your spirit that you love, then you can put all yourself into that, and you can end up in all these places. You landed in a great place, and it also helped you to go on this amazing journey, an introspective journey to figure out everything that you figured out. You know, it's scary to go across the country. It's hard to go to the other coast. I mean, especially when you're part of a tight-knit family, right, with a rich culture, it's hard. So, like, the fact that you're at UCLA, that's not a consolation. It's wonderful. You should feel good. I hope you feel good. Would you agree, Gurleen, Maritza? What do you think of that? Yeah. Does that make sense, Alma?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I think it definitely has been a humbling experience.
Yeah. Well, you can do anything. I mean, it's remarkable. And even if you didn't fill out that application, this was the path that you're on and the path that you're meant to be on. And it allowed you to meet Gurleen, and it allowed you to meet Maritza. And I want to learn more about, I have two quick questions. Gosh, you're so exceptional. I just want you to leave here knowing that, right? Like you're unstoppable. You're great. Amazing. And that the guy at Stanford, you can hang out with all the Stanford friends and get to know the people who went to Stanford and go there for grad school if you want, right? And on your essay, you could talk about how this journey helped you to realize this, which ultimately helped you to end up here at the right time, at the right place, where everything aligned. So when it comes to that first year, when it comes to all of you deciding to go to UCLA, arriving on campus, moving into your residence hall, tell me, how did you adjust and make your first friends? Gurleen, you said you were really outgoing and out there. Was it easy for you to find friends? Did it take a little time? How did you find them?
Yeah, I look back on that time. I think like around the high school graduation time, there was a lot of like bittersweet moments with a lot of my friends because I was like, no, like I'm not gonna see you guys on a daily basis anymore. Like, what is this gonna be like? And I look back on that now and I'm like, I can't believe I was so sad because I had some issues with like my roommate situation because it was a financial aid issue. Basically, all the freshmen are in triples at UCLA, and both of my roommates, I had requested a friend from my high school who had also gotten into UCLA, and we didn't end up being in the same room, but we ended up being in rooms next to each other that are connected by a bathroom. And so that was kind of like the first blow because I was like, I thought I was going to be rooming with her, but now I was going to be rooming with two people I don't know. But it ended up working really great because I got along with them really well. And then there was an issue with financial aid for both of them where when they went to provide extra documentation, their financial aid was actually reduced and there wasn't really a proper explanation. I think there might have been, I don't know what it was, but so they, one of them actually ended up, staying off campus, like commuting to UCLA, and the other ended up having to move to a different dorm. So then I like halfway through my first quarter, I was suddenly having two new roommates moving in, and they were both sophomores, but I got along with them really well. I actually ended up rooming with one of them the last year too before the pandemic hit. And so it was a lot of touch and go, and I think I got lucky in the people that I met. We like kind of connected very well, so I didn't really have to struggle too much with adjusting, but it was definitely a lot because it's like, oh, you're my roommates, and then, oh no, you're leaving, and then, oh, now there's new people. And then on top of that, I decided to go the pre-med route my first quarter at UCLA. And so the classes I was taking, I felt like my high school hadn't really prepared me. So it was, I think I'm still honestly adjusting. Like I struggled a lot my first quarter and thankfully was able to slowly bring my grades back up, but it's still hard and and now online with online classes and I'm still adjusting for sure.
Yeah, well, I want to learn about your stinky grades for the first quarter, or not. I'm joking when I say stinky grades, but like
I have a lot to say about them.
Okay, good, because there's a lot of people who feel like imposters and struggle, and they get these grades and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, or I'm going to fail out, or I'm going to lose my aid, or whatever it is. There's a lot that goes through your mind, but you made friends and you made it. Maritza, so tell me about your transition to UCLA, making friends, finding your places. How'd that work for you?
So I actually did a summer program, which was AAP's FSP. It's an AAP program, and there is a freshman summer program, and they also have a transfer summer program, which is like to get you acclimated to like your first year, like the classes, and like also make friends. So I made some friends through there, which was my first friend at UCLA was my roommate, Fern. We did a lot of things together. She's a non-traditional student, but we just got along really well. I think it was the vibes. I don't know, because she's very chill. I'm very chill. We just kind of vibe to music. And then so from then on, I met people in classes. I meet people in classes when I'm walking. Because I'm the type of person that like I get confused. I doze off. In classes, I'm just like, oh wait, what are we talking about? So what are we? Wait, what? So
Right.
like I shown up to class. I'm just like, wait, is the midterm today or is it tomorrow? So like I make friends through that. So like the next time I show up to class, they're like, oh, it's you again. Um, so that's how I make friends at UCLA, and also through like the spaces I involve myself in, like AFGU. I go to a lot of floor events, a lot of campus events. I'm also just like talking to people, like also like, oh hey, I like your shirt, you know, things like that.
You'll just talk to random people.
Yeah, just talk. I've learned that's the one thing I learned at UCLA. Like, oh, okay, like everybody's in their own little world, and no one's gonna judge you if you stop them and be like, oh, I like your earrings, cool earrings.
Yeah. So you just got to talk to people. So you talk to people, and that helped you to find some relationships. Let me see. You're also part of. So you said AFGU, Women's March, AAP. You get involved with floor events. Floor events, just in terms of like residential life floor events. And then, are you a leader or are you just a participant?
I'm just a participant.
That's great. You go to floor events. Go to these events, and you meet people. And people are generally nice.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
nice.
And then is it cool being in LA? Like do you like dig the whole LA vibe? Like do you get off campus or are you always hanging out just it's in Brentwood, right?
Yes. Usually I go out with my roommates because I also get along with my roommates sometimes. You know, the thing with triples is that you're always gonna get along with one and not with the other. That's a true fact. So usually I get along with one roommate. We both go out and like explore LA. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That third one, the odd person out, the person who is trouble. Like, how do you get along with that person? How do you coexist? What's your advice if you're that person or if you're the one who actually is the friend?
I think boundaries, respect your boundaries, and also like communication. For example, I've had a roommate who had very, how do I say this, very extreme boundaries, to the point where like she didn't want to have, I'll let either me or my other roommate like have time to ourselves in the room. She wouldn't be very accommodating to like having, oh, okay, hey, I need the room from 12 p.m. to like 2 p.m. I need some alone time. She'll be like, no. So just respecting people's boundaries, and don't question it too much. I'll be like, you can ask like, okay, yeah, for sure, but don't push it. Like, don't push it. Just respect the boundaries.
Yeah, you got to give people space and find other space. Find your places, but you find those places. Alma, so you made some friends. You get to UCLA. You kind of were like, do I want to be here? Is this the right place for me? Did I make the best decision? How did you eventually find your places, and where did you find them?
Yeah, so similar to Maritza, I was also part of the freshman summer program through the academic advancement program at UCLA. So yeah, it's kind of to like accommodate yourself, get used to like the idea of college. And so I went in there, and my roommates were cool. We were really cool with each other, but I definitely didn't hang out with them outside of classes. And my two roommates actually got along way better. So I was kind of like the odd one out, but not in the negative way, in the sense that they didn't completely ignore me. It was just like they connected more. They had more stuff in common. But I was fine. They would always like include me and whatnot. But actually met a lot of people made so many friends in that program, but I actually only made like one real friend. But it was amazing because we were just, I don't know, I think we were in assembly, and she saw my glasses and she's like, oh, I like your glasses. I have glasses too, except mine are actually 2C. So I thought she thought my glasses were really fashionable, and she didn't think they were 2C. And I was like, no, mine are 2C as well. And then we just had a conversation, and it was just me and her the entire time for that freshman summer program. And to this day, I still text her every day because we were so close. It was just me and her through the whole thing. And she was really inspiring because she had the same exact story as me, that she like the same feeling, that she also was a Questbridge scholar. She also had a dream school. Her dream school was Yale, and she also didn't like get in, and she was at UCLA, but she was like a Regent scholar, which means everything fully paid at UCLA. So obviously she went to UCLA, but we've had like a really like heartfelt conversation, and that's when we realized, hey, we're gonna be okay, and we're in a great place. And she is my rock, and she's been inspiring me to basically get my mentality more like, it's okay, and we're doing great, and I'm really thankful for her. So I would say just like as long as you make one good friend in the first months at UCLA, that's totally fine. That's all you need to be able to survive college. And of course, my friends are here at Maritza and Gurleen through clubs and stuff.
How did you meet the two of these people? How did you meet the rest of this group?
Well, I think they were starting this new club. So Association of First Generation Undergraduates is a very new club. It just started last year. And Maritza over here, she was like one of the very, very first people that came up with it. She was like the OG. And so they were kind of interviewing people so that they could create and make like a board. And so me and Gurleen were over here. We just walked in and we're like, we want to apply because this are our experiences. And, we got accepted. We formed the board. And then we had one crazy year of creating club events for a completely new club. And I loved it. There was so many like craziness and we got so close. So I really appreciate that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that how it unfolded, Maritza?
I think so. I interviewed her and Gurleen came in kind of bossy. I was like, huh? I was like, I just came from class. I just had food. I was in the food coma. Gurleen came kind of bossy into through the door. I was like, hold up. And like then Alma came through. I remember the first impression was that she was very like professional. She came in with the resume and her glasses. I was just like, okay, we're talking business today.
But you started you were the one who initiated this group?
No, it was actually Belen. She sent out an email at the time. I signed up. Also signed up for newsletters. That's my big tip. I signed up for the First Gen newsletter, and I got Belen's email that said, "Oh, we're like forming this board for students, this club. If you're interested in becoming a board member, like fill up this application." And so I filled it out, and then she's like, "Congrats, you're like selected to help me like organize this new club." I was like, okay. So that's how it started.
Right. You're like, all right, okay, good. And then things just happen, right? People invite you. It's like, it just keeps happening, right? Like it's a great story for those who have been watching this whole conversation. You can see this unfold, and maybe they'll be watching this in 10 years or 20 years. And maybe, Maritza, I'm going to ask at the end, but like, what's your dream? What would like your dream? Do you have a dream job or?
Oh yeah.
What's that?
I want to get involved in real estate and like have properties, and also have my own two things. Have my own alcohol business and my own hotel.
Wow, cool. Do you know anyone in the alcohol business?
Yes.
Yeah, close people close to you?
Yeah, family in Mexico.
Okay. And then do you know anyone in the hotel business?
No.
No. Hey, how far from San Diego are you?
6 hours, about 6 hours.
Oh, so it's a little bit far away when you're in school. I have someone who I went to school with who's they're like very successful in the alcohol business. So anyway, or the spirits business.
Yeah.
Maybe I could connect you, or maybe you'd want to get an internship, or who knows. But if that's something of interest, they're in the San Diego area. But anyway, you're going to obviously get there because it's just going to happen, and there's just no question that it will happen. It's just how it's going to be. Absolutely. I want to fast forward 20 years. It's like, of course, right? Yeah, here's how it happened. Right. People are drinking. What would the name of the spirits? Do you have a name of a drink?
No, I have. I want to go into the mezcal business, which is a Oaxacan alcohol drink. So I don't have a name. I just know I'm gonna go into the mezcal business.
All right, and you will. Are you 21?
No, I'm 20.
So maybe one day you'll get to taste it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's keep this moving. You're all so interesting. I keep going on these little side tracks and these other roads. Oh, Alma, I need to know, how does someone become a QuestBridge scholar?
Okay, so going back, I think early January or senior year, the application opens, and it's similar to like college applications where you have to write a personal statement, write your activities that you do, and a bunch of little other miscellaneous questions and letters of recommendation. Just go on the Questbridge Questbridge website, and it should be there. All the dates should be there. You send it over, and then you get notified. I think it might be beginning of September. I can't remember the deadlines. Basically, I would just recommend go on the website, look at the website, because they also have Questbridge Prep, which is even before applying to colleges. These are just like preparatory like courses or help. So yeah, it's a really good resource that I wish I would have known. Like, I want everyone to know it, and like if you want to take advantage of it early. And if I can plug in another one, there's this leadership enterprise for a diverse America. They're very similar to Questbridge, but that you have like one-on-one mentorship to get to like really high up their colleges. I wasn't part of it. I just went to a conference that they hosted, but they provided so many opportunities, and that's when I learned about like some of the things that they do for people. So I don't know, just look up. There's so many different programs. Just go look for them.
I want to make sure everybody knows that not only are you here today, but you've included your Instagram and ways for people to reach out. Are you comfortable with people who watch this and are like, oh, I want to learn more about this, or that? Are you comfortable with people reaching out to you and asking you questions?
Yeah,
are you going to think it's weird if someone reaches out to you?
Not at all.
Not at all. You're the opposite of rejection. You want to help them, right? Right, because you know a lot, like in high school, people get weird. They're like, oh, I don't want to bother them. But like, you want to be bothered, right? Yes.
Leave me alone,
please. For sure.
1 second and yes. Yes, that's great. Well, I wanted to make sure that people know that. And I think you said you applied for Questbridge in January of senior year, but just thinking of your timeline, I think it might be junior. Or I think it would have to be earlier, because I think you said you had to apply to all the schools in November.
Yeah, so I think now, thinking back, I think you apply for the prep junior year, but for the actual college matching, early September, and then you get notified in like late September. So you have like a month to write your essay.
Right, so you got to really hurry and go through that. Okay, so now you're at UCLA, you're making friends, you're kind of finding your way. I want to know let me ask you this. Did any of you think of quitting or giving up or almost give up? Anybody think of leaving? No, you didn't leave? Well, you were, okay, so that's good. So you didn't think of leaving, but I bet it got tough, right? So this will bring me to the question, what was your most uncomfortable experience in college, and how did you get through it? And Gurleen, if you wanted to address some of those academic issues, I mean, if you have multiple, for Gurleen, if you have multiple uncomfortable experiences, you can share those. Like, there's no limit, it's fine. We haven't even gotten into dating and relationships and Saturday night and everything goes, like, I want to know all of it, right? As much as you want to give. So Gurleen, tell me about your most uncomfortable experience and how you got through it.
I'm still getting over the fact that Maritza said her first impression was that I was bossy.
Oh, this is good. Should we dig into that a little bit?
No, I just find it funny because I'm now president of AFGU, so I guess it's a good thing,
well, I think
have a little bit of boss.
Right. Well, Maritza, do you want to speak to that so that Gurleen can move beyond that characterization?
Yeah, I'd like to know more.
True, she's bossy. Like, she walked in with her little like blazer. She was like she just walked in. I remember her being like this. I'm just like, okay, yeah. And then she put her hands in like this. I'm just like, and her tone of voice, I'm just like, yeah, she a little bossy.
Could you, instead of using the word bossy, could someone use the word confident and self-assured?
Yeah, she's very confident. I know she knows I'm teasing her when I say bossy.
Do you know, Gurleen?
Yeah, I know. I just find it funny because, like, I remember walking into that interview, like, I feel like first year was the hardest year for me, and we'll get into that. But so, like, when I walked into that interview, it was like the middle of spring quarter, near the end of my freshman year, and I was very nervous because this was, like, the first leadership position that I was going for. I got the position for professional development director. But yeah, so I find it's just funny that was the vibe that I was giving because that was not how I was feeling on the inside. So I'm glad that that's what came through instead of my nervousness.
Oh, good. Okay. So you're actually happy that you were self-assured and seemed to be confident. Right?
Yeah, surprised that I pulled it off for sure.
Oh, that's great. And you're all friends, so it's fun. It's fun when we have people who know each other because you know it's fun. It's fun to see that, and knowing that you're all in each other's corner is the best. So, Gurleen, give me that uncomfortable experience. And it could be a time, someone cried, you got really upset, you got shaken, other than right now.
Yeah, so if you meet anyone who goes to UCLA, they will probably tell you that winter quarter is the worst time every single year. And I didn't really understand why until I actually got into it. So like I said, fall quarter, I struggled a little bit. I joined the cluster program at UCLA, which is this basically you take a course that is a year-long course instead of a quarterly course. So it's divided into 3 different classes, but they all flow together. So I took the interracial dynamics course because I was having an interest in pre-med, in being pre-med, and I wanted to go into the medical field because I wanted to work on fighting health disparities that are present in our medical field right now. And so I thought interracial dynamics is a very interesting thing to learn about, and I learned a lot through that course. But it was very time consuming. It's so I don't really know how to explain. Units are like each class is divided by units, right? So that class was a 6-unit class, and most classes are like 4 units, maybe 5 units. This was a 6-unit class. So it was very intensive, and it was a lot of writing, and writing isn't always my strong suit. So I basically, I think I was told beforehand that it was going to be a lot of reading, a lot of writing, like only join this program if you're really interested in the topic because it's going to be a lot of work. And so I definitely wasn't prepared for the academic rigor. And so I was taking that class, and then I was taking chemistry, and I was taking a calculus class, and calculus was really where I struggled. And that was like the first time I got a C in a class. And that was very difficult for me. So like going into winter quarter, I was very discouraged. Definitely experiencing imposter syndrome. Like I was already experiencing it, like knowing that I'm going to school with all these amazing people. Like you learn a lot about people in classes. Like I did this, I did that. And it's just like, whoa, like what am I doing here? Like all these people are so amazing. And then why am I here? And I think so I wouldn't say it was one uncomfortable moment. I think it was just that entire year. And I didn't really jump out of it until the end of my freshman year when I started to branch out more into clubs and extracurriculars because I knew that like in high school, I always did well in those different communities, like going into different clubs and branching out and doing all these different things. Like I'm not just my numbers, like I'm more than that. So that was sort of the push I needed to sort of get myself out of I still experience imposter syndrome, but to sort of get out of when it was the worst. And I would definitely say making friends in your classes is so important, or even just making a group chat with people who are in your class. Like you don't need to be best friends. Like I ended up in my cluster course, they have like a lecture section and then a discussion section with a TA, and that's like 30 students or something like that. And so we were waiting outside the door for our TA to come in and start the class. And so all the students were just standing outside of the door, and I heard this one girl laughing at something. And so I just went over to her and she said something, and I was like, you're so funny. And I said something and she laughed, and we're like best friends now. Her name is Catherine, and like we'd spent like every day together. But yeah, like just branching out and talking, and like through my chemistry class, I met other girls who were also pre-med, and forming those study groups and like working to help each other out. I think I got really lucky in finding people who want to help each other out instead of, I feel like pre-med mentality can sort of be, it's all of us are against each other. Like I need to get into med school, and I'm going to jump through whatever hoops I have to get to it. But I think the community at UCLA is very supportive. So I think definitely I'm really glad that I picked UCLA because I've talked to other friends who are also pre-med but at other schools, and they've said like I don't have that same community. Like they say I don't really talk to anyone in my classes, and I find that so surprising because like we'll have group chats and like people are making memes about the professor, and like it's just a really good community. So I think that's really important for anyone experiencing imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. And the people who helped you, it seems when you built those relationships in class, that's when you were able to get the help you needed to get you through it. Is that accurate?
For sure. Yeah, I think it's the thing at UCLA is the resources are there. You just have to go out and get them. And I think as first gen students, especially, we struggle to admit that we might need help, but we feel like we need to do everything on our own. We need to be resilient. But there are so many people who want to help you. You just need to go out and get it. And I promise it will be worth it.
Yeah, that's great. Clearly, you all want to help. Maritza, tell me your most uncomfortable experience, please.
Oh, there's been a couple.
Yeah.
Academically, I think the first one that comes to mind is I failed a class, which has never happened. So, but I was like, oh, I failed a class. That's interesting. And then I got placed on academic probation. I was like, oh, you're threatening me now. Okay, I gotta get it. I gotta go back. I gotta bounce. So that was uncomfortable to like go through that process of getting out of academic probation. But once you got through it, I was like, and you panic, of course. You're like, oh God, my admissions is on the line. But like once I got through, I was like, okay, this is chill. It's got good now, but not academic related. The most time I felt uncomfortable was like learning to take ownership of my life. Like, because you're in college now and you're like, you have all this freedom and there's no one telling you, oh, you can't do that. That's bad. You shouldn't drink that. Look out for those roofies. You shouldn't drink that. So it's just learning to like protect yourself and not having someone there to protect you all the time, and like
Right.
being comfortable in your own body and being like, okay, I am gonna be okay. It's uncomfortable sometimes to be like out and about by yourself. Just that you might feel like you cannot protect yourself or you are not secure enough, but just knowing and learning that you yourself are more than enough, you have the power to protect yourself and you're gonna be okay, regardless of what is thrown at you academically, what you're gonna experience in social environments and relationships with roommates. It's just learning to be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah. So you failed a class. You got an F.
Yeah.
Right. What class was that?
Econ.
Econ. And do you know why you failed?
Oh, okay, here we go. I didn't show up to a couple classes. I wasn't studying. At that time, I was at a very low point mentally and emotionally. So I was like dealing with that, trying to like deal with my depression and anxiety. And like, so I ended up failing the class. And then it was spring quarter, which then like, the school year ended. And I forgot about academic probation, about how you're supposed to get above a 2.0 to stay on good standing. So then I got the notification. I was just like, oh, okay. I don't know what that means. And I forgot about it. I mean, I came back on campus. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get that back up. That is not okay.
And how did you?
I took classes that I knew I had a good strength in.
Yeah.
So which were like humanities. I like writing because econ was a bit more like STEM-y. Math, which included math. I don't like math.
Right.
So just to get myself back on the good standing balance scale. And then I was like, and then it took some time to like not, because then at that point I was also doubting like if I was even good enough to be on campus. Like, oh, you're ready for the class. Okay, are you good? Are you secure enough to like, do you yourself think you're good enough to continue pushing through? And so I also had to take time to like reinforce that thought that, okay, I got through, you're off the probation list, you are good academically now, but you also have to like talk to yourself and be like, okay, you failed that one time, but that is not the end of the world. Just take some time and you're gonna go bounce back in.
Yeah. It's interesting because for a lot of our conversation, it's been about how chill you are and just how like everything just kind of works out. But it sounds like underneath that chill, there's a whole layer of thoughts and feelings that were stirring and maybe are still stirring. So you mentioned a couple things, and I want to respect your boundaries. um, especially when it comes to those difficult times. It looks like, have you moved beyond a lot of that? Are you in a good place now?
Um, mentally, like in my mental health is something I always have to battle with, but I always I'm training my thoughts to not look at a negative and be like more positive, because people who know me like off the bat, they're like, oh, you're so cheerful, you're so happy, but like I also, it's work behind the curtain, like have those thoughts be like turned positive and not let them go to the dark side.
Right, because you do have those other thoughts. You're just constantly finding ways to shift that and just presenting the chill part, but underneath the chill part is a whole other world, which I could relate, because I mean, I have a therapist that I see. I've mentioned this in other conversations that, you know, therapy, mental health, it's really important. And from doing these conversations, especially when it comes to first gen students from many different cultural backgrounds, mental health isn't the first thing that's put out there. You know, when you're uncomfortable, it's not go talk to someone and get help. A lot of times people have told me it's get over it and move on. Yeah. And you can't always get over it. You sometimes have to sit in it and work through it. So I'm glad to see that you've been doing that. And you know, and this is one we don't have to dig into this. I'm curious, because you mentioned the roofies and alcohol and like being safe, because we haven't had that conversation as part of this series. Is that something that you had a personal experience with? And if not, then that's fine. If you want to share that, that's great. Again, like with boundaries, totally just offering it so at least I can explore that if it's something that you wanted to share.
I personally have not been roofied, but I know about it because the freshman program, my roommate, she talked to me a lot, because she went through the college, but then she went to a college and then like something happened. She didn't want to talk about it. So she also talked to me about what goes on and just to look out for it. So it's always been on the back of my mind, but like once you don't practice it until you get in the environment, and then suddenly you start looking at it. So you start someone gave me a cup. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't see you pour this, so I'm just gonna carry it around. And then you see some girl, and then you see like for example, I had an experience where I was at a party, and they were like handing out cups to girls, and then like they were taught a couple of guys next to me. I wasn't drinking because I didn't. Someone handed me a cup. I don't know. So like, a couple guys next to me were like speaking in Spanish. Oh, like look at how that girl is. They were saying some things like, and led me to think, okay, maybe they're roofied the drinks. So it's just things like that I have learned to look out for and like be safe from.
Yeah. And that's, they don't talk about that in high school. And I think especially when you're in a new place where you don't know people, trying to make friends, it's hard. Gurleen, have you seen that? You were acknowledging that part. Was there a personal story or someone that you know?
I remember a friend was telling me how she had gone to get a drink and someone stopped her, or one of her guy friends had gone to get a drink and someone stopped him and said, no, that's only for the girls.
So having someone with you is just so important, because it might not even be someone who's actually put it in a glass. It could be someone who put it in a glass and handed it to two other people who are handing it to you. It's a really important story, and thanks for sharing that. Alma, your most uncomfortable experience, how did you get through it? You could share them all, or just one.
I think looking back, probably the most uncomfortable experience was actually with my roommates. So after I got into like the first quarter in UCLA, I had new roommates. One of them was actually a friend from high school. We ended up like picking each other to be roommates, and then the other one was like a random roommate, which we ended up like all like vibing, and we all liked each other. But like I previously mentioned, during my beginning of my college career, or like my college journey, I was just really angry of like a lot. I hadn't learned to let go of a lot of the stuff that I probably should have and aren't really important. And so I was still really angry with myself. And I think I really projected that on people. And I was really like mean to them. I would like go too far to say to like other people. And so I didn't realize how much what I did and what I said, how like it affected my roommates, and how awkward I put them in such awkward positions because I was hurting and like I was projecting towards them. And so I thought I once it was getting towards winter quarter, I was kind of getting better. I thought I was getting better, and so I was like, wow, I'm really thankful for these people that like my roommates who have been able to like stay with me and give me support through like this emotional time where I've been like, I don't know, where I just don't think it's something that who I really was. But then that night, when I was literally just about to go to sleep, and then like they just told me like so nonchalantly, they're like, oh, by the way, this was my roommate who I was friends with since high school. She was like, by the way, we don't want to dorm with you next year. And it was just like really quiet because my instant thought was like, if this was such a like, I don't know, this was like winter quarter, so like we still had like an entire quarter to go, and it's gonna be kind of awkward knowing that like we didn't like sit down and talk about it first. You guys just told me right off like we don't want to dorm with you. And I was really emotional. Like so many thoughts went through my head because I was just so like emotionally like exhausted that I just broke down crying, I remember. And I walked out of the room and then went outside, and of course it was pouring raining outside, and I was just really hurt because then I felt like I really didn't have anyone like I could trust. And I wanted to call someone, but I couldn't think of, so I actually ended up calling my academic advocate. It was 2 a.m. and she answered, and I think I cried. I didn't say anything. I just cried to the end of that phone for like 1 hour because I was so hurt. It was just, I don't think it seems like that much of a big deal, but it was, everything just added up and it just really hurt. But basically my roommates ended up finding me, and because they wanted to make sure I was safe. But we just had this whole conversation where like, you know, we don't appreciate the way like you've been treating us. We don't appreciate the way you've been acting. And a lot of my journey has been taking responsibility for some of the things that I realize I do, even if they're kind of like outcomes from my own hurt. So just because it might be like not super intentional, not like intentional of me being mean, but just because I'm hurting, you still have to acknowledge them and still be able to take responsibility for the people that you hurt. So sometimes I do continue to snap because of how like I unsatisfied I may be with myself. So and so that was just really sad because for the longest time we had a conversation, and it was the first real communication I had like with my roommates, and going out beyond like realizing that I have like things to work on and acknowledging that. So yeah, and it was just really scary because like I said, I didn't really have that many friends my first year. It was just, we were really close. I thought we were really close, and then just for them to drop that bomb was like really heavy. Yeah,
it sounds very lonely and isolating, and I get why you were so sad and just frustrated. But then you were able to find people. So the part of the story where I just want to make sure everybody can see is that you did find your people, right? Like you did find connection and a sense of belonging and this ability to really look at your actions and be accountable. Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, so I think that conversation was just really real. We're going to have a lot of conversation with people that might be really difficult, because I still ended up, to this day, we're still like roommates, and we're planning on, if college opens up, we're still going to be roommates. And so I don't think we would have been able to do that if we had just been like, okay, like fine, like I don't want to room with you guys either. But we had a conversation instead, and all of us kind of like talk to each other and be like, well, the reason like I'm feeling this way is because of this. So allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to understanding that you also have to be accountable, and just be more reflective of the things that you do and say. I think that's how I started learning. And I think communicating with people, and sometimes it's not gonna go well, and they might just be like, no, I still don't want to done with you, and that's okay. You know, college is just, a lot of people come and go, so like so many people that I used to talk to, I don't talk to anymore. But some of them, like the ones that really want to hear you out and really communicate with you, are gonna stay.
So you ended up living with them and still live with them after that incident.
Yeah, after that incident, and I think it made us more open. Like even if things do come up, problems, we don't just like hide it behind the other back. We all kind of talk to us. So I think that's actually made us like a better group of roommates.
Yeah, I think when you can be honest about discomfort and still have love for the people and the people around you, it just gives you such a solid foundation. And I think that it sounds like until that moment where you broke down, maybe you had these walls up and you weren't even willing to look in the mirror, and then they pretty much took a big, like what do you call those things? Just like
Sledgehammer.
Yes, a sledge. Right. Yes, sledgehammer. Okay, round 2. Ding. All right. What's this? Anyway, it's like all of a sudden we're doing charades. But right, they took that sledgehammer and knocked down your wall. And I see that in a lot of roommate situations where, roommates who want to get along, but the most important rule is that they live by the uncomfortable rule, which says if I say or do anything that makes you uncomfortable, please let me know. And even in the beginning of our conversation here, I said, if I say or do anything that makes you uncomfortable, let me know. Because really the foundation is love, and I just want to have a great conversation. But I think that really translates into all different situations. And I mean, it's really amazing. Alma, you really have had this, you're a junior now, right?
Yeah, we're all juniors starting that.
Incredible journey. It's like your journey has just been, all of yours it sounds like you've had these incredible adventures, but wow, just the learning and the vulnerability and just the openness. And I don't just want to I don't just want to say you, because like you're all amazing, each of you. It's just such a gift. I've kept you for a long time, and I'm so grateful to have you here. I want to wrap this up because we need to conclude this in the near future. But I want to know about your most enjoyable experience, the thing that gives you just an amazing sense of pride that just fills you up with joy and just makes you glow. Something that you experienced, someone who you were able to help. What was that thing that jumps out that just makes you feel so good? Maritza, do you have one of those things?
I have two that come to mind.
Yay.
When I'm the most joyous, my sophomore year roommate. So I would wake up every day and I would blast music and she would just come in the room and start dancing. And I think that's a great way to wake up, especially because I've been very vulnerable. She's seen me cry, she's seen me break down, she's seen me have my episodes. And so she's always been like, okay. She's never been like, oh, what's wrong with you? Keep it, control it. It's all in your mind. She's been like, okay, just, if you cry, I'll be here crying with you too. So it's just knowing that even though whatever happened the day before and whatever's going to happen during the day, we're going to wake up, we're going to start the day on a good note, have a good time. And I think that's really a good thing to have.
Yeah. That's a great gift. What's the other experience that you've had that gives you that sense of joy?
Walking around campus. I think it's very beautiful, very aesthetically pleasing, especially during the fall. It's just very surreal to just walk around a campus that you've never really thought about. You're like, oh, I kind of just landed here. And for a lot of my lifetime, I've been like, okay, well, I landed here, let's get through the thing, let's move on to the next. And I've never really stopped to enjoy the moment. And I've learned to do that. For my freshman year, I've learned to do that, to take in my environment, my steps, what I eat that morning, just be mindful of the day.
Yeah, and you're in a beautiful campus. UCLA is gorgeous. And I've walked that campus, and I can imagine what you're thinking and feeling when you're walking around. What are you thinking and feeling?
I'm thinking about Goblin. Goblin's a Korean drama that it's a Korean drama, and it reminds me of campus. Every time I see it and I'm away from campus, I'm just like, it has a little big trees and the color schemes are similar. It just reminds me of campus. So I think about campus and the TV show. You're
living in the TV show. Your life is this TV show. Yeah, I love it. Gurleen, what's something that makes you feel so good, an experience you had at UCLA that just fills you with a great sense of joy?
Yeah, I have to say, walking around campus as well, we have the botanical gardens. And the first time I went was with one of my friends, like right before a midterm. So, like, being super stressed and then walking into, like, if you go to the botanical gardens, it's like, it's kind of like closed off. But when you go in, you kind of get lost in the area. It's so nice. And there's like little turtles walking around everywhere. And that's like my favorite place on campus, I think. And then but my favorite memory would have to be so me and my roommate Kaylee are very big Marvel fans, and we were studying for this organic chemistry midterm winter quarter or fall quarter last year. So I think this was like November-ish time, and she was just like on her phone, and or I was on my phone, and I saw a picture that someone had posted from who goes to UCLA of Chris Evans, and I was like, well, what is he here? And then we found out because UCLA is right next to Westwood, and the theater there has a lot of movie premieres.
Yes.
And we found out that there was a red carpet and he was there, and Kaylee's like favorite celebrity is Chris Evans. Like she loves him. She would marry him in a heartbeat. So we're like studying for this midterm, and I was like, should we go see if we can see him? And she was like, but we have this midterm to study for. And I was like, but when are you going to get this opportunity again? And we kind of like juggled it back and forth, and ultimately we were like, you know what, let's just go. Like we've studied so much at this point, like it's like 8, 9 o'clock, whatever, like I don't know how much more studying we're gonna get through, like let's just go. And so we like packed our bags, like put on jackets because it was really cold, and we waited outside of the theater because the by the time we got there, the premiere was like the red carpet was already over, but they were in watching the movie, and there was a Q&A, so we were waiting for them to leave and hopefully catch a glimpse. And so we're like just standing there outside waiting for hours and hours, and like there's some like drivers of like limos who are like, oh, like who are you, who do you guys want to see and stuff, and like we saw like a bunch of people, and then at the end just caught like a brief glimpse of Chris Evans, and it was so short, but it was like it was so worth it. So
Right. One of the
that was my
perks
favorite
of
memory.
being right next to Westwood. I know that theater right off campus. There was a sandwich place that used to be around. I don't know if they still have it. It's like a late night sandwich. It was like this little like divey, almost like a trailer. It must not be. I don't know if it's still there.
Is it
South?
Fat Sal's? Yeah.
What's it called?
Fat cells.
Fat Sal's?
Yeah.
Maybe it was Fat Sal's. There's always like a place, like Fat Sal's. So Chris Evans, you got to see Chris Evans, the joys of being in LA, a star sighting. Alma, what's an experience that gives you a sense of joy, something that you participated in, could also be a club, activity, organization, or an event, or a sighting, or whatever that is?
I don't really recall like a specific moment, but just going back to like my roommates, which are the people that keep me grounded, we're all so different. One of them, like, I'm kind of like the shy, grumpy one. My other roommate's like motherly and like responsible, and then the other one's just crazy. She's just really outgoing, and she always telling us to do stuff. So every time she's taking us to Santa Monica on a bus at like 12 a.m. kind of like she just wants to take us in like middle of the night to those places, and at first we're like, no, like we have school tomorrow, and she ends up like taking us, but I end up having so much fun. We've gotten lost in downtown LA. We didn't know how to get our way back because we were going to Daiso, which is like a little Japanese store, and we were trying to find our way out, but we eventually did. We got back to campus, but just those times when I've been with them, and then sometimes when we're in our dorm, we're all stressing about doing homework, and then one of them turns on a song, and then we were just like, we like this song, so we just all like, we drop what we're doing, we just vibe, or we like dance or something, and so it's just, I don't know, having like those relationships, like I think for me those are like the best moments, or yeah, they're just so fun. I think our dynamics are like super crazy, which is like makes us work and makes us have so much fun in those times.
Yeah, clearly it's the people. The people have really made your experiences wonderful, and they've been there for you to help you to get through it. Yeah?
I just remembered, I got Lin-Manuel Miranda say hi to me because he got his Hollywood star. So I went to go see him, and like I was crossing the street, and he was just coming out of the theater, and he was like right in front of me. I have a video, and he's waving at me, but like my hand was shaking so you can't see, but he straight up waved at me, not like he was like clearly looking at me, eye contact, and he waved at me. So that's another thing I just remembered. It was like my favorite.
Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Yeah, because he got his Hollywood star.
Nice. That's a good one. Yeah, he's amazing. This is so much fun. I have one last question, and then we are all going to go our own ways for now. And hopefully we could reconvene in, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. That'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to see you. Because I love this. So I think it's so cool because where you are right now is amazing. But where you're going to be in 2 years, 4 years, you're all going to be doing amazing things. You're already doing amazing things. So it's, for me, the joy is I get to meet you today, then we get to continue this relationship, and I get to see all the amazing things you do. If you could go back in time and give high school senior you, one piece of advice, what would you tell high school you? Maritza, what would you tell high school you?
Oh, yeah. First of all, don't forget about college. Don't forget about college until junior year. And also, you're going to be okay. You're going to cry a lot. You're going to go through a lot of things, experience a lot of experiences, but you're going to be okay, and your family has your back.
Yeah, you're going to be okay. I love it. Gurleen, how about you?
I think being in high school, I think I had a really good support system, but I also had a lot of people who didn't really believe I would get far. So I think I struggled with that a lot. So I would just tell my high school self to keep going. It's going to get way better, and don't believe what people will say about you. You need to really have that inner confidence in yourself.
Yeah, because you're doing great, and to find those people who believe in you and not listen to those other people, because who's got time for that, right? You only need people in the corner, right? And you're doing it, so clearly you can, and you were always capable of doing it. Alma, what advice would you give high school you?
I think similar to Maritza, I'd be like, Alma, you're going to be okay, and you're going to end up in the right path for you at the right time. And everything you work for will work out, and you'll see you didn't have to worry about anything as long as you follow your passion.
Oh man, I couldn't agree more with all of this advice. Is there anything else that we want to put out there, you need to put out there before we sign off? I always give people a chance to do any damage control. Not that I don't think there's any damage that's been done, but sometimes these will end and someone will be like, gosh, I wish I said that, or I need to clarify that, or Harlan, did you have to ask me that? This is the time for us to get it all out there. Is there anything else you could think of? I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, you're all so brave and so honest and vulnerable. I want to remind everybody that you can reach out to Maritza and Alma and Gurleen. They've included their social media. They want to answer your questions correct, just not if that's correct, right? They're in your corner. They are here for you. So when you need people, and the theme of this conversation has been people, really the people who have been in your corner to support you. They are here to support you. They're here to support each other. These are incredible, incredible women. They're from UCLA. This has been a college conversation. I want to thank you all, Maritza, Alma, Gurleen. Thank you for being here. Grateful for your time. What an unbelievable gift. I'm Harlan Cohn. This has been a college conversation with UCLA. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know. I'm so grateful to be here, thrilled to be in your corner, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thanks, everybody.